Hello again and welcome to this very first Shed Talk edition of 2023. Happy New Year to you all. Thank you to all those who took the time either to comment or go over on the Shed Talk Facebook page and wish me Happy New Year. It was most appreciated for all those of you who took the time to do that. So in this episode we're going to have a quick look at what my plans are for the rest of January. We will also take a quick look around both the Finch and Fife flight and the Budgerigar flight to see what's going on in there. We'll also have a look at how the breeding Budgerigar pairs are doing, and we'll open the nest boxes up, have a look at those early chicks and see if we can guess some of the colours of those birds, what the colours they're likely to be, colours and variety that those early chicks are likely to be. Some will be a little bit easier than others, and we'll also see if we can work out the sex of them as well, and then maybe in a month or so time when they're a bit bigger and weaned, we can see how well we got on with identifying them. Well, as always though, if you do enjoy any of the Shed Talk videos, then don't forget to hit the like button, and of course please do leave a comment, whether that's just a comment on something generally in this episode, or whether you wanted to ask a question or suggest something for a future episode. Please do leave a comment. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, then please do. All the subscriptions do help the channel to grow and obviously promote the hobby to a slightly wider audience. And of course, if you want early notifications of as soon as I release a new episode, then don't forget to click on that bell icon. So then, let's have a look at what we've got coming up in January. So what does January hold for Shed Talk? Well, I suppose the first big thing is that we're hoping to get back on the road and do another Shed Talk with. I did mention this in the last episode, and I said I would say who that first visit was going to be to, and I'm hoping that we're going to get out and visit Mr. Bob McCabe. So really looking forward to getting back on the road. I'm looking forward to visiting Bob's shed, and I hope you'll enjoy that visit as well. Well, at the moment we are just finalising the date of when I can get out and visit Bob, a convenient time for both of us, but I do plan to get the that episode, that visit, out as the final episode in January. So don't forget to make a mental note of that coming up in the future. And as I previously said, my plan is to try and do one Shed Talk with each month and make it a regular monthly feature on the Shed Talk channel. And the second bit of work that I need to do in January is to start preparing the Finch and Fife shed for the breeding of the Fife canaries. I've already started to increase the light by I think it's 15 minutes a week. I think Bob Honey suggested, so it's about 15 minutes per week I'm adding onto the timer for that. So that's the first thing, but I need to clear some room in there for the Fife breeding cages. I've got some breeding cages already, so I just need to give those a quick disinfect, a quick clean. They've been stored away for a little while in fact, so they will need a quick once over. The other thing I need to do is I previously had a flight cage out there where I kept the I think it was the hens. It was originally a flight cage that I was using as a nappy flight for the Budgerigar, baby Budgerigars. Then moved it out there and used it as a hen flight. Hasn't been used for a little while, so I need to dismantle that. I will keep it because it might come in handy at some stage, but I need to dismantle that, make some room, clean that area out where the bits and pieces get behind the various flights. So give that a clean out and then set up the breeding cages in preparation for putting the Fifes down. And of course we mustn't forget that carrying on in January, and in fact for the next few months, is the ongoing work going on in the main Budgerigar shed, and in particularly the the breeding cages. This is now a working breeding room, so there's all the work that goes on with there, so checking the chicks, ringing them, marking eggs, record keeping, cleaning old nest boxes out, or cleaning nest boxes out as the chicks get old enough, and so on and so forth. So that will all be happening in here. And while I'm talking about the breeding budgerigars, why don't we take a look at how those breeding pairs are going? So like I think I said, the Budgerigar breeding cages are now in full swing, I suppose, and we've got the cages beginning to split into groups. So we've got one set of cages which are birds that have been newly paired up and are just about to start their first round, or have just started their first rounds. We've got that group of birds that were unsuccessful in filling eggs and are now on either their second or their third round of eggs. And then we've got birds that were successful in filling eggs and have chicks that they are feeding nicely, growing on nicely, and some of those I would expect to be leaving the breeding the nest boxes relatively soon. I won't. It's not my intention to do a full run round of each of the nest boxes in this episode, but what we will do is those nest boxes that have got chicks in, I thought what we'd do is get the nest box off and have a go at identifying the colour of those birds and variety, and maybe even having a go at trying to sex them. So we will start off with cage 8, which is the one that's got the most chicks in. So let's have a look at those now. So here's the first of the nest boxes. It's got a total of 4 chicks in it. One at that far end, I don't know if you can see him. We'll get him out in a minute to have a look. Those of you that have been following the series will know that this nest box did originally have 5 the last time we looked. Unfortunately, just after I'd rung one of the birds, the youngest of them, who was growing on nicely, no problems, I had just rung it, and then when I went in to check it the following day, the leg without the ring on it, I'll be clear on that, it was the leg without the ring on it, was facing the wrong way. So it had obviously got itself injured at some stage in the nest box. I tried my best to pull the leg back to the right position. There was no indication that the bird was in any pain. It didn't make any noises when I was doing this, but it clearly did. The leg clearly wasn't right, and the next day when I opened the nest box, the chick was dead. Most of the rest of the near are doing fine, as you can clearly see. They're not happy with me getting the nest box out. And I think we can see that most of these, you can probably guess the colours already. So there are, in fact, if I just move this one across so you can see him, there are 3 cinnamons and 1 normal. And we could have got that just from looking at the eyes, couldn't we, when they originally hatched. So we'll just get what I think is the oldest of the chicks out, this one here. You can see it's a cinnamon, and it's a cinnamon green, fairly obvious. I would say that it's a dark green or a grey green, or well, probably a dark green, but the cinnamon is making it appear lighter than it actually is. If you look at the tail, it looks like it's going to be dark green, but underneath here it would look like it's a light green. And judging from the cere, I would say this is going to be a, difficult to say, but probably a cockbird. So it's a cinnamon, I think a cinnamon dark green, but it may be a light green. Let me know your thoughts on that. I'm just going by the tail feathers, they look a bit dark for it to be a light green, but it's, like I say, still a bit difficult to judge from this bird at the moment. Of course, Dad is a cobalt, so it is possible that it could be a dark green, and inherited the dark factor from Dad. Another cinnamon, as we can see. Once again, the tail looks quite dark, although in comparison with this one, if I could try and compare the two together, don't know if you can see that particularly well. This one does look a little bit lighter, so I'm going to go for a light green on this one. Cinnamon light green. And if we look at the seer, possibly a hen, but most likely I think another cockbird, but it's always difficult to judge at this early stage. Well, for me anyway, it's always difficult to judge. So 2 cinnamon greens, one possibly a dark green. We'll get the other cinnamon out, which is this one here, which as you can probably see is definitely a cinnamon. And again, a little bit difficult to tell whether it's going to be a light green or a dark green. A little bit early, but my guess is probably a light green again, and almost certainly this one here is almost certainly a cockbird, I would say. It's going to prove me wrong, I reckon, in about another 2 or 3 weeks. And the final bird in here is quite obviously a normal. If I just compare the wings, because these two are fairly similar ages, so you can see the cinnamon on the left, the normal on the right. You can definitely see the difference, and you can see the difference across the top of the head as well. And there is a clear difference as well in terms of the down. So cinnamon's got very much a lighter down. This is very grey in colour, and probably the most telling feature, I think, always, is the legs. And you can see those are very, very grey. And on the cinnamon, they're much more pink in colour. And of course the eyes, which we'll have a quick look at. So what colour is this one going to be? Well, it's definitely going to be green series bird, I would have said. But still a bit young from my point of view. I'm not the greatest at being able to judge colours, particularly at this age. So I would be guessing it would be a normal green, possibly a dark green. And in terms of it, almost certainly a cockbird. It's got a very, very black, dark black seer at the moment, and a dark black beak at the moment. So there is lots and lots of the brown, or the black pigment in this bird. So I'll just pop them back in. So that's those 4 that we've looked at, and we've got 3 cinnamon greens. Possibly 2 of them are dark greens, and we've got a normal green. That's our best guess with those 4. I'll just pop these back so Mum can feed them. So this is the next of the nest boxes, 2 in. One of these is a foster chick, the youngest one, the one at the back or the one at the bottom, and the other one belongs to the pair, which is, they are both blues, so I think we can clearly see that this is going to be a blue series bird. It's definitely got the white face. Difficult to know age, difficult for me to identify whether this is going to be a cock or a hen. If I had to guess, I would say it was going to be a cock bird. It's got the pinkish feet, so my guess is it's also going to be cinnamon, and I think you can just see the cinnamon feathers coming through there. So it's going to be, I think, a light blue cinnamon. You can just make out that it's got slightly lighter or slightly plummy coloured eyes. Looking at the back of the head, it's very clear on the head, so it may well be, although it's still, I think, a little bit early to say, judging from the back of the mantle here, the bit there. But I was wondering whether it might be a opaline cinnamon, but it's difficult to say, I would think. So Well, definitely a cinnamon, and a cinnamon sky blue, do we think? And possibly opaline. So that's that one. And of course the youngest one here, which is almost impossible to judge the colour of this one at the moment. Again, though, it's going to be a cinnamon. You can definitely see the plum coloured eyes on this one here. I won't keep this one out too long. So there's those two. Once I've rung that second bird, I will need to clean this next box out, I think. So in this one we've got the one who's looking at us at the moment, telling us off, is I think a cinnamon sky blue, and the other one, difficult to say, but a cinnamon green series bird would be my guess for these two. And that's the second of the boxes. And the final box with chicks in is this one here, which is a single chick, and I think most of us can see what this is going to be in terms of its variety. So it's going to be a cinnamon. You can tell that from the wings, eyes, and the legs, which are very pink. But if we look at this bird, judging from the wings, we can see they've got clear flight feathers and clear tail. So it's obviously blue series. I won't insult the intelligence there. And the white patch on the back of the head. So this is going to be a cinnamon sky blue, and the final giveaway is the barring across the chest, so the white bar across the chest. So a cinnamon sky blue dominant pied. Now, can we tell whether this is going to be a cockbird or a hen? And it's going to be a cockbird is my guess, which means dad must be cinnamon, or at least split for cinnamon, and mum is cinnamon. So there we go. I pop this one back as well. Coming on nicely considering there's only one bird in the nest. So we've got a sky blue cinnamon dominant pied cockbird, I believe. Well, the final thing we want to have a look at in the Budgerigar shed is a new pair, and they are actually in cage 10. Now, if you watch the channel regularly, you'll know that I had only just repaired up the cockbird that was in cage 10, a grey-green cockbird, because he had lost the hen. So the hen just went off colour very quickly, and unfortunately we lost her. So you may be wondering why I've now got a new pair in cage 10. It wasn't a disaster. It wasn't that we suddenly lost the cockbird or suddenly lost the hen. It was just that in the flight, the pair that you can see here were a pair bonded and were mating really regularly in the flight. And as I just put the pair down in cage 10, and they hadn't actually bonded, there was no sign of feeding or anything like that, it'd only been a couple of days, I thought I would get the pair out of the flight as they had bonded in there. They weren't related or anything, and they were both birds that I would probably use at some stage in the this year's breeding season as a spare pair. But I thought as they were bonded, mating, I'd pop them in the cage 10 to catch them at the right time, I suppose, more than anything else. You can see that we've got a normal light green cock is bonded to or paired with this grey-green hen. The grey-green hen is actually a aunt of the cockbird that we took out of here, so there is some relationship there, and I do want to talk a little bit about some of that in a future episode, probably the next episode I think it is, when we're going to talk about my plans for the next 2-3 years with the Budgerigars. So I thought I'd put these in. You can see, you know, that the cockbird, even when they were in the show cage, they continued to, the cockbird continued to tread the hen. So now they're in there, and I'm hoping, really hoping, that we'll get some eggs off of this pair. But we'll have to wait and see. Let me know your thoughts about love pairs. I know some people will use them. I don't normally, I'm not normally a fan of using, or not normally, I wouldn't normally use love pairs, partly because, you know, I don't have lots and lots of birds, and I don't have the quality throughout my shed isn't good enough for me to just go, yeah, those two birds will do. So I wouldn't normally just pop them in just because they're love bonded, but in this case I thought I would, because they're a pair that I'd probably use at one stage throughout the breeding season, as I said. But let me know whether you think it's a good idea or a bad idea. Let me know that in the comments. So that's the final thing that's happening here in the Budgerigar flight. What we'll do now is we'll pop out and have a quick look at the Finch and Fife flight. So we are back out in the Finch and Fife flight, or shed, and I don't know if you can hear it, but it's absolutely pouring down outside at the moment, so at least it's not quite as cold as it was the last time we were in here. And pretty much in here now we're just, it's a waiting game, I suppose. We've, like I say, the hen Fife is still carrying bits and pieces around with her, but we're trying to hold her back. We've adjusted the timings on the lights. They're now going forward by about 15 minutes every week. So what I mean is I'm adding 15 minutes on to the amount of time they're on at the end of the day for each week. So I add 15 minutes on, so about an hour a month at the moment. I may have to increase that slightly. We'll have to wait and see. But that's where we are in here. The other bit of work is I need to remove, like I said, the old Budgerigar stock cage, I suppose, or hen cage that I was using from here, and set up the breeding cages. I'll do that over the next couple of weeks, and we'll have a look at that perhaps in one of the future videos. What I'm thinking though, there's a couple of things that are also going on in here, and that is, once I've moved the two Fives, or the pair of Fives, into their breeding cages, I might well put up some nest boxes in here for the zebra finches. And the other thing that I'm thinking of doing is, with Stafford coming up in about a month's time, is whether to get another couple of pairs of gold breasts to go in here, and maybe have another go at trying to breed the gold breasts in here. So that's where we are really in the Finch flight, and the Fife and Finch shed at the moment. And that is just about all we've got time for in this episode. And in the next episode then, the first thing I will say is we will finally get a chance to look at using that smoke bomb stroke fogger in both the flights. So I'll show you me using that now we've got it, and let you know how I get on with it. I know that some people have been waiting for that particular episode for a little while now, so I can virtually guarantee that that will be in the very next episode. The other thing that I do want to focus on in the next episode is looking at my plans for the Budgerigar breeding going forward over the next year and the following year, and looking at the pairs that I've paired up this year and my thoughts about how I'm going to use those and their offspring in future years. It's one of the things I've been pondering with, and thinking about trying to introduce some slightly more distinct lines, I suppose, into my sheds, or into the shed. So that's the other thing that we will focus on in the next episode. We'll obviously have a quick roundup of all the normal bits and pieces as well. And so that's it for this episode. As always, if you do enjoy the the Shed Talk videos, then don't forget to subscribe and do share them across, and of course please do comment. But until the next episode, as always, stay safe and enjoy your birds.